Christian Horner is officially terminated from his role as director of Red Bull Racing, and reports about his future endeavors have already begun to surge. With teams like Alpine desperate for a rebuild and in need of an experienced leader, the presence of Horner could dramatically shift them in the right direction. The only question is whether Alpine would be willing to overlook the scandals that ultimately led to his downfall at Red Bull, and more importantly, whether his arrival would come at the expense of Flavio Briatore, the infamous figure still lingering around Alpine. Horner's future is wide open, and he is actively exploring his next big move, while several teams are closely monitoring him to see what kind of deal might be struck. Although official talks have yet to begin, Alpine appears to be the most likely candidate given their current state of disarray. The Enstone-based squad is lost in both development and technical direction, while Horner is looking to rebound and prove to Red Bull exactly what type of leader they've just lost. According to Ralf Schumacher, Horner's arrival at Alpine is more or less certain, and it would likely come at the cost of Briatore's role. The controversial former Renault boss, infamous for the 2008 Crashgate scandal, is widely regarded as an outdated figure in modern-day Formula One. Expanding on this, Schumacher stated, "I think the time for figures like Flavio is over. You need technically skilled people at the top, someone like Horner. Flavio could help as an organizer and networker, a face to the outside world. But that's it." There have been countless reports suggesting Horner wouldn't want to return to Formula One strictly as a team principal, since he's outgrown that role and now has his eyes on something far bigger, such as partial ownership of a team. Interestingly, Alpine and Horner appear to have found common ground in that regard. The Enstone-based squad has reportedly been open to selling a significant portion of the team. However, Horner faces one obvious obstacle: finances. While he possesses all the experience and leadership credentials necessary, he doesn't have €20 million casually sitting in his account to pour into an F1 team. That said, with over 20 years in the sport, Horner has built an extensive network of high-profile connections, and finding wealthy backers willing to invest in his future would not be difficult. This makes the possibility of Horner stepping into a shareholder role at Alpine a realistic scenario. But the French squad, set to become Mercedes, powered from 2026 onwards, has yet to confirm whether they're willing to part with a significant share of the team to make this move possible. According to former F1 driver Robert Dornbos, who previously worked with Horner, we should absolutely expect such a move. Speaking on Horner's age and untapped potential, Dornbos explained, "Knowing Christian, yes, he will make a return. Let's not forget he is incredibly young. He already has 20 years of experience, but he is still only 51. With 2 decades as an F1 team principal and CEO of one of the world's largest brands in both automotive and marketing, his successes speak for themselves. The only thing missing is team ownership, what Lawrence Stroll and Toto Wolff already have. You simply want to be a shareholder." Dornbos further argued that if Horner had been a shareholder at Red Bull, the internal scandal that led to his termination would never have escalated to the proportions it did. After all, Horner was officially cleared by independent investigations and the courts, yet internal pressure from Jos Verstappen and Helmut Marko still forced his exit. Prior to his dismissal, Red Bull also saw senior figures like Adrian Newey, Jonathan Wheatley, and Hannah Schmitz leave, fueling Verstappen's claims that Horner's continued leadership would have accelerated the team's collapse. With Alpine desperately seeking new direction, Dornbos insists their door remains the most viable option for Horner. The French squad, stuck at the back of the grid and openly admitting the need to cut costs by becoming a Mercedes customer team, is in dire straits, as Dornbos explained. "At this point, if I go down the list, Alpine is the only team that could suit him. That's a team saying, we're lost. Flavio Briatore isn't going to do it forever. Christian could step in, take shares, and rebuild them into a huge success again." Despite this, not everyone believes Alpine is a realistic landing spot for Horner. Former FIA boss and Horner's close friend, Bernie Ecclestone, bluntly stated he has more faith in Lewis Hamilton winning his 8th championship than in Horner becoming a shareholder at Alpine, mainly due to financial hurdles. Yet Ecclestone admitted that if the money issue were resolved, anything would be possible. After all, people must look beyond Horner's recent scandals and objectively assess his career. Leading a team to 8 drivers' championships and 6 constructors' titles in 20 years proves one thing: Horner is relentlessly driven by challenge. Other reports have linked Horner to potential bureaucratic roles with the FIA, but those options hardly match his profile. This is the same man who, during the Saudi Arabian GP, handed out printed photos to prove Max Verstappen had outpaced Oscar Piastri at Turn 1, fighting for every inch when it mattered. That's not the behavior of a bureaucrat. That's the mentality of a team leader who lives for competition. Still, hurdles remain, especially regarding his relationship with Pierre Gasly. While not openly hostile, the history between Horner and Gasly is complicated. Fans still remember how Gasly was promoted to Red Bull in 2019, only to be demoted mid-season to Toro Rosso and eventually replaced by Alex Albon. Many believed Gasly wasn't given a fair chance, despite later proving himself by shining at AlphaTauri and even clinching a stunning victory at Monza in 2020. Though Horner wasn't solely responsible for Gasly's demotion, he certainly played a key role in shaping that chapter of the Frenchman's career. Still, even Gasly has publicly acknowledged Horner's undeniable qualities. He once said, "I think Horner's qualities are undoubtable. When you've won that many championships in 20 years, you can only respect what he achieved with Red Bull. He is very, very good at what he does. I'm sure we'll see him somewhere, because with his experience and skills, some teams will always be interested." This means if Horner were to join Alpine, Gasly's input might carry weight. As the team's lead driver, his voice will matter in whether he'd welcome Horner or view the move as reopening old wounds. Alpine, already struggling with their second seat, cannot afford to alienate their primary driver. Yet, when someone like Horner is available, certain risks might be worth the potential reward, even if it means dramatic shakeups within the organization. So, whether Horner's Alpine chapter would mean Briatore's exit or a partnership between the two remains to be seen. What is certain is that Alpine and Horner have serious discussions to hold. Talks that could reshape not only the team but also Horner's entire career. With all this in mind, what do you think about Horner's potential venture with Alpine? More importantly, do you believe he has what it takes to help them climb back to the top? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And once you do that, don't forget to click on the video that appears on your screen right now.